come, sit. Now, we are doing home ownership for financial security part 4. We have already done the first 3 parts, and now we are in part 4. And I continue to remind you to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share. Let's keep learning about this whole subject about home ownership. If you're here for the first time, my name is Lucy Githaiga. Welcome to this channel. And I'm a personal financial wellness coach. I support women and I work with women to help them sort of organize and order their finances for the purposes of taking charge of their financial future. And now this channel, I run 2 things here. On Fridays, we call it the Finance Friday. It's where we talk all things money. So welcome to this Friday. It's one of those where we are talking about issues to do with money. Then on Wednesdays, if you still stay on this channel, on Wednesdays we have a Bible study where we talk about different things from the Bible study. We are currently going through the what is it called? We have been going through a series of the ride through Genesis. So I welcome you to look at that. And by the way, I also integrate some financial lessons within the Bible study. So it's all, the theme is all one. And so I would like us to continue from where we left last time. Let me remind you that if you go through, there's a playlist on financial freedom. There are about 3 videos there, so please go back there and watch. And then we have started a series on home ownership for financial freedom. And remember, this channel, I speak a lot to people who are in employment because I have been in employment myself. I am no longer in employment, but I was in employment for 24 years. And during my 24 years of service in employment, I made mistakes, okay? I made mistakes, and I do not want you to make mistakes. I want you to make sure that you're making the best use, you're utilizing your time, the resources that you're earning from your employment well, so that you can organize your life, your money life, so that you can take charge of your financial future. Because as we say here, employment is not permanent. You will leave employment either through being sacked, or you will voluntarily leave, or you will wait until retirement. But either way, someday is coming when you will not be in employment. So it's good for us to then organize ourselves, even as we prepare ourselves for that day when we will not be in employment. And so that's why I'm so passionate about helping you to see which areas do you organize, how do you organize yourself. And so I thought about home ownership as one of the pieces that are foundational in terms of financial security. Now, the last 3 videos on home ownership for financial security, which you can watch in this channel, if actually we are going to prepare a playlist so that you can you sort of see all of them in one place. Now, in the first video, part 1, we spoke about why it is important to have a home. And then in video number 2, we spoke about, is it really possible to have a home? I was trying to help you see the possibility of having a home, that it's not really a pipe dream for people, for others. Those who have homes don't have 2 noses. They have 1 nose, 2 ears, 1 tongue. They're just like you. And therefore, if you just take the decision and focus, it is possible to have that home. And then video number 3, I think we were talking about, we were looking at how can you get a home, how can you use the SACCO route, the route of taking a loan from a SACCO to have to obtain your home. And so today, I'm assuming that you have watched those, and if you have, of course, gotten. Now I'm assuming that, okay, let's assume you already found your beautiful SACCO, you already did the savings, and we even did the calculations, we did the math, to sort of arrive at what is reasonable. And we did say that it really doesn't matter. Ata kama it will not be complete, bora it is possible to get into that house. We get into that house, and now we begin to do the loan repayment. Now, so I am assuming that the route that you have chosen is where you have decided that based on our last video, of course, you have decided that you will take the loan from the SACCO for everything, for the piece of land where you will construct your home, and for the construction of your home. And I am saying that it may not necessarily be so that you have completed, that you have finished everything in that home. Bora, we have a place, we have shelter, it's habitable, we get in, and then we will complete those things when we are there. That's the drill. So because we want to be practical, we don't want to. Me, by the way, I told you, me, I'm a very practical chick. I am a practical woman. I don't meander all over the place. Why? Because I did the meandering, dreaming and doing things that were not necessary, and in the process, I ended up losing money because I stopped being practical. So I want you to be practical, because once you are practical, you are able to put things in perspective, and you're not necessarily then just idealizing life, because that theorization and idealizing is what gets you out of the track. And it got me out of track. So I don't want you to get out of track. So back to the conversation about, so today I am assuming you already got your loan. You have already done your construction. Now, if by God's grace you have completed the house based on whether it was whatever type of house that you're constructing, if by God's grace you have completed to the last dot, well and good. But if you are like me, who entered with just a wall and no floor, no nothing, then you are in the right place, because I will encourage you and tell you that don't worry. The thing is, as long as you have been able to construct that home, that house, and you have entered, then we now ask ourselves, because today we are talking about the loan repayment season. Because of course, ukichukua deni si ni lazima ulipe. When you take a loan, surely you must pay. So now we must begin to ask. And remember, when we were talking about the last video, we were saying that you will have done your mathematics. You will have seen, if you're taking the route, we talked about two routes. We said there's a route where you say, depending on my level of income, depending on where I am only able to do, take the loan, buy land, and then complete that loan, and then now go to season 2 of the loan, the construction loan. Or depending on your income, and I think we are talking about an income of, we're making mathematics of about, is it 30,000 or 50,000 that you're able to commit to the SACCO. I am sure you can take a pen and paper, a calculator, and go through and see how those mathematics work. Now, so today I am talking to somebody who you took the route of, you took the loan that was possible for you to buy the land. You took the loan to enable you buy the piece of the plot, as we call it here, the plot, and for the construction. And I am assuming either you finished or you did not finish, but at least you have entered that house, you have entered it, you are living there. And so now, because you're now living there, now it is that season of loan repayment. It is the season that many people, getting the loan, signing those forms and getting that loan into your bank account is normally a very good season. The time of repayment is where now the rubber meets the road, and that's where people get so they feel so frustrated along the journey, because they are repaying the loan. It looks like something is not happening, and there's the excitement of getting into your home in the first months, and you're feeling excited and you can say, yes, this is it. But of course the loan repayment comes, and so we wanted to talk about, in that season of loan repayment, what is it that you should have in mind. 2 or 3 things that I want you to have in mind. Number 1, there are 2 things. One, for you have to be consistent in terms of your loan repayment. Remember, you still have your job. I am assuming that you still have your job. So being consistent in terms of your own repayment, and making sure that you're committing to the things that you said you will commit in terms of the loan repayment, because the Bible says you cannot start building a tower without making the calculations. So I am assuming that you have done the calculations, so that you're not building a tower without doing the calculations. Now, the point is, if you now that you're doing the repayment, I know sometimes that loan repayment season is one that is slow, is one that can be frustrating, and there are certain things that we probably can do because we want to probably complete this loan maybe earlier than scheduled or within schedule. So the idea is, if we can complete this loan within schedule or earlier than scheduled. Now, assuming you want to go through the process of, within schedule, of course, within schedule, that means that you are going to continue committing the amount of the resources that you had committed, so that then it runs according to schedule. But of course, everybody wants, when you're in a situation of a debt, everybody is like, the day I'll finish this debt. So there is always an urge to want to maybe complete that debt, faster or earlier than scheduled. And so 2 things need to happen. Number 1, you may want to ask yourself, is there a way in which, because in financial manenos, there are only 2 ways. It's either income goes up or expenses are reduced. They are not middle ways. There are no middle things here. So when it comes to increasing income, you want to ask yourself, is there a way in which I could increase my income? I could increase the level of my money, the money that I am earning, without committing capital or without having to go and get another loan facility, because then you don't want to be debt trapped. Okay, so you ask yourself, is there something that I can do that can earn me an extra dollar, an extra shilling, so that then I am able to still be able to either finish this loan quickly or faster or earlier than scheduled. So what should that look like? Remember, we are saying you are not going to bring to source more money from I don't know where, or I don't know, loans and what have you, to either start. This is not, it may not be the time to start investing in businesses, because if things don't go well, it's possible for you to crash. And I want to put a rider there, depending on where you are and who you are. But I am talking to somebody who, you are a career person, you are in this season where you're growing in your career. And so when I ask you about how what else can you do to earn more money, it could be that, yes, it could be that you might want to start a business, of course, but this must not be a capital intensive business. Okay, it must not be a capital intensive business. And the reason why that should not be a capital intensive business is because you don't want to get confused in the process. You don't want to have a situation which then you are committing too much money in starting a business, whatever that venture would be, that then you end up having to get into another loan facility and another one while you still have your home repayment process going on. So you've got to really put your mind in a situation where you're saying, I want to earn an extra income, but what are the options? And the options are, you might have a skill. Okay, and this skill, you can actually make it, you can do something, or you can put it to work. You can decide that I have a skill, there is something that I know that can meet a particular gap in the market, and I am going to provide that skill to earn an extra income. So in that case, you have not used any extra money. All you have done is to sort of activate the skill that you have, or the talent that you have, to make that extra money. You haven't used, but so that's one way. The other way is that maybe if you're in employment, maybe there are opportunities for promotion at your workplace, or maybe there are opportunities to do other things, consulting, or whatever else that you're able to do, of course, within the parameters of whatever it is that you're able to do. So you are looking at what can I do to make an extra shilling, an extra income? What can I do to make an extra income without having to put in a lot of, like capital investment that then, sort of gets me confused in the whole process? So that's important. Could it be that it could even be a change of job? I remember for me, when we did the reconstruction, I think, was I still paying the loan or something? I can't quite remember, but I remember somewhere along the journey, I changed jobs. And when I changed jobs, of course, I had a higher income. And because of my higher income, I was able to actually now use that extra income to help me, fast track the loan and complete the house, faster than had been scheduled. So think about ways of, are there ways within your means, within where you are there ways in which you can make more money? It could be even within that garden of yours. It could be that you're going to say that in this plot, I am not going to be that one is not about that is also about, yes, making an extra income, in the sense that you might decide, me, I'm not going to be buying bogas, so I'm going to plant things here, so that the money that I was using to buy bogas, I am not going to use it. So somehow you have to think about how to make that extra money, whether through your professional career or whatever other ways. I think it is important. Otherwise, then you have to just stick to the schedule of your loan repayment. The other thing, so we've talked about increasing income. The other way is about reducing expenses. Because if you reduce expenses, of course, it sort of it releases some money off, or if you're earning a salary and there are certain amounts that you're committing to loan repayment. Now the amount of money that is left after loan repayment, that is the one I am saying, maybe you might have to think, are there ways in which I can reduce my expenses? And by the way, don't dismiss this fact, because it is possible for you to think about ways of reducing expenses. And once you have found ways of reducing expenses, it means that that money that you have reduced, you can actually then commit it. You can actually add it to loan repayment, or maybe do a bit of saving or investing in other ways. But there are different ways, of course, of reducing expenditure. Let's assume we even had a car, for example, that was maybe a fuel guzzler. Maybe whatever it is that you have constructed the home is probably, you're using a lot of fuel, and so you decide, if it is possible for me to use public means, by the way, I am addressing you. Yes, you can change from owning that car and going to public means temporarily, so that you can quickly finish your loan, your home repayment process. And or you can decide, because I was using this car whose engine capacity is this much, I am going to downgrade and buy a small, sell this car that is high engine capacity, and buy a smaller one, so that I can save on my fuel. I can be able to save on my fuel. That's a way of reducing costs, and it is valid and it is important. You can also decide to carpool. I mean, depending on where you are or whatever. I mean, you just have to think and see, how can I reduce expenses? How, if it could even mean that maybe you might change your the school. You might look at other options for the schooling for your children or whatever. I mean, there are different ways in which you can look and see, how do I reduce expenditure, so that the goal here, remember, by the way, me, I am addressing people who are in employment. And I keep telling you that employment is not permanent. And you want to make the best use of your time in employment, so that the money that you're earning, you are able to quickly do your foundational financial security issues like home ownership, finish with that, crash that goal, and then move on to the next thing, which is now building the base, the foundation, a good foundation for your financial future. You will not be able to do that if you're not planning and if you're not organized. The other thing is that you will have to hibernate. The loan repayment season is a season of hibernation. I call it a season of hibernation because you don't want to get confused. You don't want to start seeing and hearing things called shiny objects and being and responding to every yellow caller who comes around, calling you, so it's a time to really focus, because you are focused. You have a goal. You're focusing on that goal, and before you know it, by the way, you will have completed that loan, and you will have finished that whole thing of ensuring that you're done. I mean, so don't get confused in this season. Be focused. Stay completely focused, because if you start meandering here and there, you will lose it, and you will then it will then become difficult for you to complete your loan, because you have changanyikad yourself. You have mixed yourself with so many things that are not necessarily focused on completing this goal. Remember, we are also saying that my aim, and when I talk to you in this platform, I really would hope that you are smashing this goal of home ownership earlier in life and not necessarily later in life, because when you do it earlier in life, as we said in the previous videos, you are able to then get, and here, by the way, I really hope that you would be able to do this before your 40s, because then after that, you begin to now build a solid foundation for your financial future if you're going to continue remaining in employment. Because either way, even when you leave employment, at the end of the day, you know that you will have to continue, meeting your expenses, meeting your needs, and meeting your lifestyle, and so you have to still continue to think about that. And by the way, I should have said that that loan repayment season is interesting. People usually don't have money because they are so focused on that. And this for me, this was a very it was a lesson that I learned, because when we settled here, we were not the only ones who are of course building, and so many homes that people had bought plots and they had started building. They entered their houses before completion, and so me and my husband thought that we can start a business of furniture, selling furniture, because we were seeing them building like big houses. But these were big houses that were incomplete. Now of course they are complete, but in that season, because they were in the season of loan repayment, their houses were not incomplete. So we came up with a business idea that could not meet their needs at that particular point in time. For us, we looked at the different big houses, but we did not remember, or it didn't occur, it didn't dawn on us that the same way we are doing our own repayment is the same way that they were doing their own repayment, and therefore they are not going to use money or to spend money on luxury items or on changing furniture and what have you. You will have to contend with remaining with your old furniture until you have completed, so that now you can begin to do like whatever sprucing up and what have you. So that's a lesson that I learned, and we ended up closing that furniture shop because we would just be there, no one would buy. And then of course we had also priced our furniture high because we were saying, oh, these guys, they are rich. We had not done the proper mathematics, of course. And that's why I'm telling you, sometimes in that loan repayment season, you don't want to start a capital intensive business and sort of make the mistake. So we ended up putting money in a business, which of course didn't work. And whereas we could have, of course, either used that money to fast track our own repayment, or used that money to do other things, either invest for the future or whatever. Of course, we were just trying, but it was a lesson that I learned, that in your loan repayment season, that is not the time to start capital intensive a business. If you want to start a business that is not capital intensive, because you do not want to to be caught up in the process of losing money and all that. I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope you have understood the issues, the three things that you need to do. Hibernate, find ways of increasing income, and number 3, find ways of reducing your expenses so that you can fast track your own repayment and get better, and at the end of the day, we shall celebrate with you that home ownership goal is smashed, so that we can proceed to other things. Until next Friday, I continue to encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment. Please don't be mean. I mean, surely you can just do this. Click that like button and let's keep going till next Friday. Next Friday, I think we'll be talking about something called covering your nakedness, still within this series of financial security. Home ownership for financial security. Until next Friday, see you and thank you very much. Asante.